Hello and welcome to the last Felicity Crafts Christmas for this year. But remember, crafting's for life, not just for Christmas, and we'll be back after the Christmas break with lots more winter crafts. And today we are going to make these little star people. And for that we need a few slightly unusual things. We need 2 for each person chenille rods. What's that? It's a pipe cleaner. 2 pipe cleaners, needle thread, scissors, a little piece of paper to make a template. I think they're best made out of felt, but any kind of fabric will probably do. Scissors for cutting it, and these kind of beads. They're sometimes called pony beads or barrel beads with big holes in. We also need a bead for the head, and that bead needs to be enough to fit 1 or 2 of your chenille rods inside there. It also helps a little bit if you have your glue gun today. Not essential, but sometimes helpful. See you on the other camera and I'll show you how to do it. So here it's a little bit closer up, you can see what our little man looks like. So if you wish to embellish, you can put some embroidery on there, you can use different kinds of stitches on there, or you can just keep it simple and you could always glue something on the front like those ones are. And you can see the range of colours. I had this nice silvery fabric that I thought I would use, which was frayy and difficult. Sometimes they've got the same, sometimes they're different, however you want it to be. So we're going to start with our chenille rods, our pipe cleaners. Now it's probably a good idea actually to match the colour to your felt. So if you were using a piece of yellow felt here, that would look quite nice. But I'm going to just do it with these really dark ones for you, just so that you can see against the tablecloth here. So we're going to start with these 2 and we're going to fold them in half. Remember, the whole point of these is that they have metal inside them. So that is the strength that's holding it together. So we're going to make them as 2 V's like that in half. Then we're going to connect them together like that. And that's now making our basic star shape. So you've got this X shape, which is like that. But of course this is looking 100 times longer and bigger. Now the ones that are his arms on the top here, they're going to accommodate the head as well. So we're going to use the ones that are the legs to fold around to add a little bit of strength in the body. It's worth remembering here that you're not going to see any of this part. It's all going to be hidden. So we're going to take this one and we're going to turn it right the way round like that, just to add some strength. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with the other one all the way round. So we've now got a slightly fatter body and now it's quite secure. I can do that with it and it's not going to keep falling over. So it's a bit sort of more secure now. And then we're going to make his legs, and we're going to make those by folding it in half like that. Now don't worry about being exact here because we are going to rearrange these a little bit later. We're just folding it over like that. Now we're going to do the same thing with the top ones, the arms, but they're also going to accommodate the head, the bead that's on his head there. So we're going to fold that one. We're going to approximate the length of that one here, fold that in, and then a little bit up. If I just hold that like that, you can see what I've done. I've folded more or less the same as that one, in and then with a little bit up. And then we've just pulled that down. And we're going to do the same thing here, approximate the same, down, and then a little bit up. And that's where you're going to need to check your bead. Now I've run out of these very small beads here now, so I'm going to have to just show you with this slightly bigger bead. Ignore the fact that he's already got his hat on, don't worry about that. You're just checking that you can fit your rods inside there and that he's fitting, and you've got approximately that kind of person sitting there looking like that. So you can wiggle them around a bit. Now if you can only find a bead that will accommodate one of those, just tuck the other one out of the way. You can tuck these together, but if you've both ended up with 2 fat ones, you just need to check that it will fit inside. You want your head to fit on there snugly so that it's not going to come off. So you don't want it slipping off. So you need, if it is slipping off, you can always put a little spot of glue later on. So we've got him to that sort of stage. I'm just going to show you like that, and I've just pulled it apart a little bit just so that you can see what it looks like. And this time I've wound those round each other just to make them a bit safer, but that's what we've got. We've got a little man like that. Don't worry about them all being exactly the same, because we'll rearrange that in a moment. Now we need to make his little body, his clothing kind of thing, and this is where you're going to need to pause the video and have a look at this, because this is the kind of shape that you are looking for. This is a fold line, so that's where you are going to be folded over so that you have got that kind of shape. To get that, you can freehand draw it if you want, looking at that when you've done it, but you're going to put that down on your piece of paper and you are going to draw around it so that you are getting that kind of shape. So if I just put that next to it so that I can see when I'm doing it, that's the sort of shape that you are looking at, just the half-sized bit of that. I'm just trying to get it so that it's not on the table so that you can see. Okay, I'm just going to have to take that off because there are too many hands there. So we're going to make sure we're going along on there. We're covering this just a bit thicker than his feet are. And you've got that kind of thing. Then you're going to close them all off, put yourself a circle, but that will only be half of it. You're going to have to fold along that top part and cut it off so that you've got a double. Now that will take a bit of messing about. So you need to look at this one and be sure that this is the kind of thing you're doing. Just cut lots of them out of paper so that you can be sure what's going on before you finally cut it out of felt. Don't worry about his hat for a second, we'll come back to that in a minute, but this is going to take a little bit of doing. What you need is to have cut that shape out like that, but that part in the middle is a hole for his head. And I'm just going to show you that you need to fold it perfectly in half like that and then cut that little hole out. Now don't get carried away making that too big. It only needs to be like that, because ultimately what we are going to do is put the head bits of the pipe cleaner in and pull it down like that. So I'm just going to show you that again, because when you're making your template, that is what you need to bear in mind, that that's going on and that's pulling down like that. And that's where you are. Now at this stage, you need to mess about again a little bit by checking at the length of your feet. Now it's perfectly possible for you to make it without seeing the inside at all. So you could fold these inside so that they're not even remotely seen. Just tuck them all in out of the way so that we can't see them, and then sew all the way around and you don't have any arms and feet sticking out at all. And then you can put his head on. You can do that if you don't have the other beads, the barrel beads, you don't have these ones and you don't want to put them onto his hands, or you did have one like I've done there where it's completely the wrong colour. So you can do that with nothing sticking out, and that's fine. You can also decide to have them sticking out as a feature. So this one has different coloured ones and you can have these sticking. Whatever it is, you need to mess about with it at that stage and get them where you want them. So on this pink one here, I want to have a little bit of foot sticking out. So I've messed about with that there until I can see a little bit of his foot sticking out there, because that's where I'm going to put the bead later, just to give him hands and feet, because I quite like the look of that, where that's going on like that. So you can decide, mess about. Now at this stage now, because again we've done no gluing, you can still take this apart, and if you want to decorate it, that's when you need to do it now. So I'll show you these ones. These ones are decorated with little stars and French knots. I've put those on his hat. This one's got a little star on. If embroidery is not your thing, you can always just stick something on afterwards, or in fact leave it completely plain as well. You don't need to put anything on there. You can have it plain like that. But if you want to decorate it now. And then when you put it on, I found that it helped if you added a little spot of glue. So I've got my glue gun out and put that on there, and now it's holding together quite securely like that. And then we're just going to put it together, being happy with everything, and then sew together. So you're just going to cut off, I've got some matching thread here. Now you'll notice on the other one that if you want to do blanket stitch, excuse me while I just put that in my mouth. If you want to do blanket stitch and you want it to be a feature, then you can use a contrasting coloured thread and you'll be able to see that completely. But if you don't, you want to use the same thread, like that one, whichever one you want. And now we're going to use the simplest stitch there is. So we're just going to sew in and out like that all the way around. There, you don't need to sew off when you get there, just go underneath, round, 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 until you've got all the way around, and you are then going to be at, let me see if I can pull somebody's head off, at that kind of stage. So you've got it to that stage and you can decide what you want to do now. That one's got a gigantic long bit for his head, hasn't he? Now at this point you're going to put on those. Now you sometimes need to wriggle this around a little bit. Some of these beads have bigger holes than the other ones, and put them on if that's what you want. I like the look of that. These ones are these nice metallic ones. You tend to only be able to buy these beads in really big amounts like that. So you end up having to use them for lots and lots of different things. Now we're going to decide to make his hat. So if I go back to the first thing, you've basically got a triangle with a curved shape underneath, and you need to cut that out of felt. Now this is wider than you think it's going to be, approximately 3 times your bead, but you basically need to put it on and check that it goes all the way around. Now this is where I did find the glue gun much, much more helpful. It's virtually impossible to try and sew this onto the bead. It just keeps falling off, but a little spot of glue around there is perfect. You can sew this all the way up like we did before with your stitch like that, going all the way through. So you could just carry on sewing all the way up. When you wanted to, you'd need to over sew that first one obviously, and then just sew all the way up. Or you can put a little bit of glue on there. It's up to you. Now when we've got to that stage, you can draw a face on these beads. Those nice bigger ones have a nice face on, but there isn't much room on here, so I haven't done that. You do need to be careful when you're putting your hat on that the whole of your bead is on the bottom and not on the side, because that's an easy mistake to make. And then you can poke that on. That one has a long stick that's going all the way up there, giving him a bit of strength. If you've ended up with anything a bit untidy, or just because you think it looks cute, you can stick yourself with your glue gun again a little bit extra there. I've put a hanging loop on the top of this one so that it can hang on the tree. And that's it. So I hope you really enjoy making your lovely little star people that can be hung up on your tree or anything. Oh, somebody likes these star people. She's coming to say hello. Possibly to eat them, but that looks good. I will see you back here in 2 weeks' time for some more winter crafts. Happy Christmas everybody. Bye.